What do you know about art, kid?
Hey! We're recording the podcast! Shut up!
Good morning to you, wherever you are, because it is
Morning Subway!
for July 9th, 2026. My name is Bernie Burns, sitting right over there. She is hedging her bets. It's Ashley Burns. Say hi to Ashley, everybody. Are you awake?
No, I'm partially awake.
Partially awake.
Partially. I'm gonna do my best.
Should I do the heavy lifting over here?
Please do.
For those of you who didn't listen to the first half the week, what day is this even? Thursday?
Hold on. We're Thursday now.
This is we had a very late night return from our trip last night, so we're recovering today. Let's just say that.
So let's keep this one brief and not curse ourselves by saying that.
Oh, right, because we have somewhere to be, that kind of thing.
Well, exactly.
Okay, well, in the interest of keeping it brief, what else is going on in the world?
Well, have you been following this building in New York that's buckling, which is a very concerning word to hear about a skyscraper?
That was concerning. I have a video for you, but go ahead.
So there's this skyscraper in New York. It's like from the 1970s, and they're doing a big conversion on it where they're going to change it into like 1,600 residential units.
Oh, I thought it was just a new construction thing.
No. This is a conversion, but they're adding on to it. They're adding like 15 more floors, and I think they're expanding part of the building as well. And some of the support structure started to buckle, and they had to like evacuate something like 7 buildings all around the area just in case the building came down.
I'm going to show you a clip of the video. We'll put this in the linked up. That's the video that was taken by workers inside the building of some of the support beams literally buckling.
Look, I'm just going to say that if you see like those, those gigantic steel I-beams, if you see one of those bend, that's a real concern. Those things are meant to last no matter what.
Beam implies straight. A beam of light, a beam of steel. And if it's not straight, you've got a problem.
Yeah. Well, the best part is apparently this project has been fined multiple times already for like glass bits falling off the skyscraper. One of their workers had a fall as well. And the guy who is like one of the spokesmen who's working on it is like, man, I don't think that a couple of supports like in one corner of the building is going to bring the whole building down. And I'm like, dude, you're a skyscraper in New York.
That's crazy.
Any bit of collapse is a huge, huge problem.
Can I be honest with you?
You may.
When I see a story like this and I see the video of those beams bending under stress, I don't think, wow, that's an incredible story. How did that happen? I think, how does this not happen more often? Like, how do we not? I see these buildings in skylines in downtowns across America, and I'm thinking, how the fuck do those things stay up?
All the time. It's like any big engineering project, it is just awe-inspiring. If you ever look at, like, when you're driving on a big bridge, right, and you see the size of the like bolts that are holding that thing together, they're on another scale, right? You can't go down to Home Depot and get some of those. They're like, someone had to scale them up like 300 times. Everything to do with large scale structures is so specialized.
Yeah. But I guess, they do it all the time, and they know. And they're built to these tolerances.
They theoretically know.
I know, and they can sway in the wind. That's the other thing. When I'm up there like, oh, this is completely natural. It's like, yeah, until it's not, in the back of my mind, I've always been skeptical about it.
Isn't that one of the appeals of something like a high-rise, though, is that you are defying the laws of like gravity and physics? And one of the things I like the most about the skyscrapers is their earthquake prevention or whatever it is they do to stabilize the buildings, maybe for the wind, whatever. But like when they put a building on springs, this building is 100 goddamn floors and it sits on springs.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. And you were talking about like defying gravity and everything. One of my favorite photos that makes the rounds every now and then is the like skyscrapers that are in China and they're above the clouds and people are on their balcony looking down at the clouds. I would think it would be hard to breathe up there, but maybe it's just a marine layer or something like that.
I don't know. I remember during the Utah Olympics, I want to say there were a lot of records broken during that Olympics, and I think some of that had to do with the altitude. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that anyone living on the top floor of those skyscrapers in the clouds, they're probably real athletes.
Can I ask you a question? If we lived in one of those buildings, have you ever lived in a high-rise building ever?
No.
I lived for the summer when I moved to LA. I lived in downtown LA in a high rise, which was an interesting experience unto itself because
Wasn't a high rise above the clouds though, was it?
no, it wasn't that big. I think it's gone from my Instagram, but I did the tilt shift photography from my balcony to the construction site across the way, and it looked like little tiny men working. But that was an interesting experience living in downtown LA to begin with, because that is like something straight out of a 80s apocalypse movie where it's like these gleaming towers. And then if you go out of the entrance of this amazing building, go a block away, people are literally like in the streets, in tents.
They're living under a newspaper.
The oil barrel with the fire in it, and people huddled around it.
Is a real thing.
I mean, it's crazy. It's like, it's almost stereotypical. It's crazy to be there. But I liked it. If I was there long term, by the way, that when I stayed there, that's where the stick of butter argument came from. It was when I moved out of that place after 4 months. But am I crazy to say this? I would own a parachute. I would just have a parachute in like in our closet,
or like a base jumping parachute or something that's meant to your jump off a building with and catch you on the way down.
I would not be able to use this thing, effectively at all, but still just having it, like if I was that high in the sky, for a billion reasons. I'm sure people are recalling specific examples, but for a billion reasons, I would want to have a parachute in my closet.
Well, look on the bright side with this New York building scenario. One, they've said that the building has stabilized, so all the buildings that evacuated around it people are now able to go back to those buildings. Also, 1,600 units. I imagine that after something like this happening, they're not going to be great, but they're going to probably be affordable.
Yes.
After this, they're going to be more affordable than they were last week.
So scary.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Also, there's like this constant rumor, theory that they've dug too much of Manhattan, the island, away, and that at any one point in time, one of these buildings could just collapse into the ground itself.
Well, what you got to do is you just have to dig down to the bottom of the zone. Just dig straight down to the bedrock and then build from there.
I think that was wasn't that when they rebuilt the Twin Towers, wasn't that the major portion of the construction was digging down and building the foundation for the thing?
I mean, that's got to be the case with anything of this nature, right? Is like you have to go down so far to stick it in far enough to stabilize the rest of it that's just sticking out.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's like I did, when the boys came out with me to LA, the older boys, I did want to have them the experience of doing that. I have to say, it's not for me. I did enjoy it. It was kind of cool. But also, it's like, I get upset when I live in a multi-story house, like a second story where usually the bedrooms are.
That you're living like right on top of other people.
No. I get upset when I walk downstairs and it's like, I forgot my keys. And I got to go back up the stairs to get it. When you go down like 30 floors or 20 floors in an elevator, that's a totally different experience. You're like in the lobby. It's like, shit, it's going to take me like 10 minutes. It's like you're like turning around in the middle of your commute, basically. The elevator ride, depending on the building, can be a serious pain in the ass.
The elevator ride could be the bulk of your commute.
It could be.
You walk out the door, turn left past the burning trash can, walk half a block, and you're at work.
Exactly right.
That's why people would live in one of these, right?
Disguise yourself with some fingerless gloves and that kind of thing.
Exactly. Get
Dress
a good
yourself
deal
like a 80s apocalyptic movie wardrobe. You just pass through that department and you're all good.
And great news, you'll also fit in at music festivals.
So while we're talking about like weirdly entertainment stuff, there was an article too that came out that was affirming as well, in a weird way. I've always felt like attention spans were decreasing rapidly. And now they've actually said that after a single season, Netflix viewership drops off dramatically. Yeah.
It was an article on Bloomberg that was talking about some of the really big shows on Netflix having kind of staggering audience drop off after the first season. They said that One Piece, which has been incredibly well received by both critics and fans, lost more than 30% of its audience from season 1 to season 2. Season 2 of Beef dropped more than 70%.
Oh, that's
that one's kind of a weird scenario because that's more of an anthology series, kind of like True Detective, where each season is standalone. Like season 2 is a different cast and a different beef, as it were. So that one I kind of get a little bit more, I guess. The Night Agent lost 50% of its audience from season 1 to season 2 and another 35% for its third season.
The interesting thing about Beef dropping off so dramatically is I was working on this theory in my head that original series would be a little bit more immune to this because it's an original concept and people are either on board or not. But I guess not. I always had this kind of feeling that in the modern adaptation world, that adaptations are really better suited for movies than they are for series, for long-term attention span, because Game of Thrones being a wild exception, I don't think a lot of people read the books. Maybe I'm biased because I didn't read the books, but was that a huge audience that had read A Song of Ice and Fire?
I mean, the books were very popular, but not as popular as the TV series. There were a lot more normal people who never read the books that did get into the TV series.
And even the series itself grew over time. It wasn't like a banger in season 1.
No, it was like the season 1 did well, obviously well enough to get the next season and so on. But I feel like that was one that grew over time. Like if you go back and watch the first episode of Game of Thrones, you're like, yeah, cool. But it's not like, holy shit, this is riveting, right? It's like a dude, like, some king rides in a carriage in the mud to a castle, right? It's not super crazy straight out the gate. It gets really interesting pretty quick, but it's a show that builds. I would say the Ned Stark episode was where a lot of people were like, wait, what the fuck? And it like caused a lot of buzz for the show and really sent it to new heights.
Well, for me, I knew I was behind the curve because one of the things that got me to finally watch the show was the winter is coming meme.
Oh,
like,
really?
I was like, should I watch this show? Because I keep seeing this meme everywhere. Yeah, because that was a big deal.
And you checked it out and you're like, oh, this is
during the
great.
first or second season. But that being a kind of a crazy exception, the zeitgeist that was Game of Thrones. I feel like for television series, at least for me, when it's a long-running existing source material, I do feel like in this modern environment, not like during the era of Game of Thrones or Walking Dead and stuff, but like I feel like Fallout is a good example. Last of Us is another one. Is people are already so wildly familiar with it. There's a genuine curiosity and an appetite for wanting to see how they adapted it. But that'll only really get you through the first season, right? And we're seeing like, I feel like Fallout had a little bit of a dip. Last of Us critically had a big dip. And I just feel like, for things, it's like, yeah, people want to see what the new thing's going to look like, but then you can't maintain that for more than one season. It's got to take off on its own.
Well, I think the way that that TV is produced, at least it's produced in the U.S., can sometimes be diametrically opposed to the way the adaptations, like that they're adapting from the source material, really work. Like you'll find a lot of times they did this with The Hobbit, right, where they're like, well, yeah, okay, so there's not enough source material to make 3 movies, but we want 3 movies. So go ahead and just pad that out. I'm trying to think, what else did they pad out? They've done a couple things where like, we want more. There was actually another, it was a show, it was on Netflix called Shadow and Bone that was based on a book series. And they're like, we think we need more. So they pulled in another book series to be part of this one.
Interesting.
Because they were like, they exist in the same world, but they're like, oh, let's get these characters and make it more interesting. So they like smushed 2 series together in this adaptation to get more out of it.
I wonder, right? even within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because they had a huge catalog when they started developing these movies. And even so, it's like, I feel like Iron Man 1 to Iron Man 3 was a steady decline, right?
Certainly in how it was received critically.
Maybe not box office, yeah. But I wonder if like there was one that like gained momentum over time. It does feel like if you can get a catalog like that, it's amazing because then you can just develop like it is within the same universe, but it is new characters every single time you're doing it.
Yeah, well, but then you run the risk of being something like Beef, where you can share the same universe and the same idea, but you do something unique each time. And people are like, I'm not on board with this one. And you get a huge drop off.
Beef season 1 didn't have a post-credit scene where they previewed the new Beef. I read a weird story about Beef 2 where they had to spend a bunch of money on the second season because the main actors, who are Oscar Isaac and an actress whose name I don't recall right off the top of my head.
Carey Mulligan?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know the actress, but they had to go in post-production, had to spend money digitally to remove the earphones that they were wearing in scenes because they decided it would be a cool thing to act against each other while they were listening to music. So the actors literally had earbuds in their ears listening to music while they were performing.
I wonder if that's something to do with like they're not hearing each other, they're not getting each other, they're not having the same conversation. They're like, what would make that really easy is if we actually don't listen to each other.
They gave in the interview what seemed like a justification for it that I guess made sense. But the more I read, I was like, what the hell is this? Like, how could this happen? Maybe I'm misremembering. We should look that up.
No, you're not wrong. I'm looking this up, and there is a lot about it. According to multiple reports, Isaac and Mulligan chose to use in-ear devices, not for receiving dialogue, but to play music selected to match the mood of each scene.
Right. That's interesting.
So they like had their own soundtrack while they were acting out the show.
I would think that would cause hell on your, not just digitally with the earbuds, but visually, but also for the sound people to like remove the music. It's gonna pick
right.
it
If
up.
you get any bleed through fun fact, the entire series is just ADR.
So weird. So weird. That's I've never heard of anything like that in my life, but if it works for them, it works for them.
Yeah, but I think sometimes shows would probably be better received, or they would do better overall if TV production in the US was more comfortable having single season shows. Right? It's okay to like go ahead and adapt your book or whatever, but it can be okay to do just one series.
And if you get a really good first season, just treat it like a New York skyscraper and just build on it, expand the floors on top and widen it as you go up.
We're gonna go ahead and add 15 floors to this one.
There was a cool Reddit thread, and I will have to see if I can find this. It can be so difficult to find something that happened like 20 days ago. There's like a weird, if something happened 10 years ago, it seems easier to find.
You can probably find it. If it's happening right this second, you can find it. But if it was 2 weeks ago, best of luck.
It disappears somehow into some kind of like middle ground, no man's land. But it was a Reddit thread that was calling out like an Ask Reddit or a television thread where they said, what are your best one season shows? And I read it and I was like, every one of them was great. Like Chernobyl.
Let me like Watchmen.
Watchmen was on there. I forgot that Watchmen was a one season show.
Firefly,
yeah,
I'm sure was on there. Freaks and Geeks is going to be in there.
You're naming a lot of them. I couldn't believe that Freaks and Geeks was only a one season show based on how many careers it launched.
Exactly.
It's another one that launched a ton of careers in the 90s, I guess. Was My So-Called Life on MTV. That was Claire Danes and Jared Leto.
Oh, that's right.
That was only one season as well, apparently. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so it's like if you can have these either like single season or just like, we're not going to do more than 3 seasons. We're going to wrap this up. It's nice because you can actually tell a full story and get a resolution.
Yeah. Station 11 was another one that was great like that.
Yeah, and it's nice to have the endings sometimes instead of just like, we tried to get too much out of this. The performance dropped off, and so we're canceling it. And then, that's it. It just stops in the middle.
And the executives are like, "Hey, man, just tack on a couple floors. No big. It'll hold itself up. We're not worried about that corner."
What does buckling mean? Exactly.
We're not worried about that. Buckling doesn't test well in the flyover states. We'll just ignore that entirely. Yeah, no, but it is a real conversation where we dealt with this a lot in animation, but just in general now. It takes so long to develop a show and get a show on the air. If it's only a one season show, there's a very good chance, that it took longer to get that show made than it took to make the show.
Oh, I mean, that seems like just that's the order of things at this point. But maybe it would be easier if studios and networks were more comfortable just saying we'll give it a season without the idea of this having to be potentially an 8-year commitment.
And it's weird now too, because
8 years, of course, being 2 seasons.
Over time, the productions used to get more efficient, but now everyone associated with it also gets more expensive. So you're save costs in one area, but not in other areas.
Right. So once again, just give it a season, give it 2 seasons, end the thing, and then everyone moves on.
I actually think Star Wars is in a good place with this right now because it's like,
oh, that's a hot take.
Yeah, well, for series, right? Because you get Mandalorian, regardless of how it did in theaters, Mandalorian was an extremely popular series.
It was a real shot in the arm. The initial seasons, especially, were a shot in the arm for Star Wars. When that came out, it was pretty universally beloved.
And if you get, as a fan, 8 episodes of an Andor, and those cost $35 to $40 million each, I mean, what more could you want? You know what I mean? It's like a really deep Star Wars story. It's very rewarding. It doesn't matter that it doesn't go more than 2 seasons. I'm assuming it's not gonna.
Well, and I wonder if that's one of the reasons that Andor works so well is they were writing to an ending. I mean, they sort of had to. They had a really specific time window that they could address. You can't really go beyond it.
I bet they curse themselves every time they come up against that stuff. I bet they curse themselves.
Then why do they keep doing it?
I love when Rogue One, like, it took us to like a millisecond, basically.
Before the next movie starts.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's no space in there.
But it allowed them to write to a specific ending and then take the show out, with a bow. They weren't canceled, because they were like, oh, it's getting too expensive. The stars are going to cost too much. So we're just not going to do another season. I hope the story ended good.
It is crazy too how much time that they spent with like this golden era of television and digital streaming of like, for all the major franchises, Star Wars, the comic book stuff, everything. It seemed like they went out of their way to dismantle the expanded universes. And I feel like there's going to be a turnaround on that where in a few years, we're going to be having like expanded universe new stuff for Star Wars.
Right. Well, what are we going to rename the old universe before we re-expand the universe?
It really just means non-canonical, right?
Right. Well, because they changed. What did they rename the old like Star Wars universe? It was like Star Wars Legacy or something like that.
Did they?
And they're like, we're going to go ahead and pull from it when we feel like. But yeah, all this stuff is not canon anymore.
All right, Ashley. Well, I think we pulled enough from you today, so you need to go get some sleep. Who do we have to thank for today's episode and your coming nap time?
I want to say a shout out to single seasons Jordan Vowles and Arthur Scott. They're both bangers. Thank you for sponsoring this episode of our show at patreon.com/morningsomewhere and roosterteeth.com.
All right. Well, that does it for us today, July 9th, 2026. We will be back to talk to you tomorrow. We hope you will be here as well.
Good night, everybody.